Hello and welcome back to another EDH deck design video. Today I'm going to be recording a video that's more like a deck list I'm posting for a guide online for kind of a generic entry-level combo designing FAQ or a guide. This particular deck list is for a combo deck featuring Circu the Dimir Lobotomist. The counterpart video that I'll try to host at the same time will be for Vela the Night-Clad, because both decks try to combo in a very similar fashion. The guide I had started on about a year or 2 years ago, and I have not updated it. And there's a couple cards that are even coming out recently I would love to put in this kind of deck. I just don't have them yet. But I want to go ahead and start putting together the video to at least post for the guide. I'll link some of that in my details down below, like an active deck list, and also a link straight to that little guide on Salvation. It's a little old primer, it really needs to be updated, but I'm going to start with this first, since I have both the decks already. This particular deck is a combo deck running Circu the Dimir Lobotomist. This is not a super powerful combo deck you want to run. This is a suboptimal general running a suboptimal combo. But it's pretty easy to understand. It doesn't take a lot of motions to go through the steps once the machine has been put together. And it makes it pretty easy for newer players to pick up a combo since you're in very good colors. I'll go on through the deck and explain how the combo works after I'm done with the deck. But in short, what the deck tries to do is to use Circu to exile everyone's deck within one turn. What he does specifically, he is a 4 mana, 2 blue and a black, for a 2/3 wizard human. When I cast a blue or black spell, I may exile the top card of someone's deck. It's another effect here says that players can't play non-lands cards that or exile with the same name. In EDH, that is typically meaningless. I try to not even cast him unless I'm about to combo off. So ideally, it doesn't matter because I'm just going to try to make some infinite state where I can immediately exile all opponents' decks, effectively milling them so that when I pass to them, they will try to draw and fail. In my guide, I'll talk about how you always want to find answers and know what will stop this from winning. For example, there's a card out called Azami Tomorrow's Familiar, or Tomorrow Azami's Familiar, that it's a legendary creature that means you can't be decked out. Something like that silly. But I'll keep on going. Let's go through the deck first and I'll explain more later. Circu is the general. He is a wizard, so there's lots of effects I can help with. It being a 2/3 body also means he's sometimes not so bad to throw out early just as a chump blocker against some aggro. But let's send him over here for now. The creatures, there's a lot of creatures here. The combo interacts, it functions with interactions between creatures. So there's actually a pretty stout number of creatures. It is a combo deck, and I do need some protection to make it work. So we have Snapcaster for some good value. Baleful Strix is another pretty good value card, just a nice defensive thing that lets me draw. Gilded Drake is great for early game shenanigans and getting up some defense to delay or set myself up. Trinket Mage, there's a nice little Trinket Mage package in here. Typically you will see a quote-unquote package for this, or people don't even bother with that if there's just enough. Maybe Soul Ring or a top is all they really need. But there's a nice set of 1 mana costing artifacts I can fetch with this. He is also a wizard, so again, something like Riptide Laboratory, a land in here, is really good at helping reset him for extra value late. Muldrifter is nice to draw some cards. There's a clone complement coming up that utilizes some of the combos, so cloning this early is also nice. Runescarred is one of our first tutors. I'm not running all of the tutors I could in this deck. Some of them I don't like. Running too many tutors that don't put them to hand is also bad. He is good because, again, I'm running some clones. And he's also a possible pseudo-win condition with a Rite of Replication. Little control element with Glenalandra, nice thing to clone as well. And a last little counterspell in a creature form, which goes great with a Deadeye Navigator. Just another backup kind of, not quite a combo, but a nice lock. Teferi is another enabler. He enables he kind of locks out opponents from using counterspells to stop me. He is a flash enabler. Again, this is a combo deck that works with interactions of creatures, so giving my creatures flash is great. But also stopping counterspells is also fantastic as well. The only problem is, of course, when an opponent clones this themselves, makes things difficult. Now we're going to a few odd creatures here. There are approximately, well, I've been running Circu in combo for quite some time. There's few ways to combo with him, and what ways there are usually use somewhat strange methods. This particular one of the methods I'm running in this deck runs creatures that enter the battlefield and bounce something. For example, they might bounce themselves. That's the entire point. There's 5 of them. This is a cheap one, 2 mana for a 1/5. It requires me to bounce a permanent. This could be just resetting a land, for example. There's a cheaper one I used to like running. I took it out recently called Shrieking Drake. It's just 1 blue for a 1/1 flyer. Same thing. Then there are these 2 from the Plane Shift set. They have the quote-unquote gating mechanic, where essentially they just come in, I have to bounce. This one's probably the best. It's a 2 mana tutorable, so I can muddle the Master Transmuter for it. I can also pay 1 life to bounce it to my hand. So this could be early defense, and I can pay to bounce it if I need to reset my combo early. This one's great because it is also disruptive. If the opponents don't really want this to connect, because I can help remove some threats. But he's actually just there to bounce. There's another one that lets me makes people discard. It's not really effective because if I'm going to use it and go off, it's no point of discarding anyone's hand, the Crocodile, because I'm already going to win. Then there are 3 that are wizards. So again, Reptile Laboratory lets me save this and reset the combo. This is something you honestly would never see in EDH, but it fits in here because it fits the combo. Same thing, Aether Adept's not so good, but of course Venser is probably the best out of the whole bunch because he is also early game disruption and counter. Not quite counter, but tempo. And the other parts that go with this is clones. There's a few ways of comboing with Circu using a clone. Phantasmal Image is probably the best because there are a possible 3-card combo that runs this and Circu and 1 other card. It is the cheapest combo mana-wise to get off. But then we have a few other clones. The Metamorph is possible something else. Clever Impersonator could be anything. Sakashima is another one I can reset. And Evil Twin is there just because it's cute. The last 3 creatures in here are the Peregrine, the ones that untap lands. This is the last sort of creature I can utilize and combo with in a few ways. I had the Cloud of Fairies in here. There's only 2 possible combos with Circu that allow that to go infinite. So being that there's only 2 situations, likely situations, there wasn't enough duplicity to make it work. I took the Cloud out. But we are running the Drake, the Whale, and the best is Palinchron. Again, I will explain how these combos work after I'm done with the deck. I'll go through the cards first. Next, we have a giant stack of spells. So, best thing we can do other than controlling with the creatures is to try to just control with the board. We want draw, tutor, and counter magic and ways of staying safe. No room for trickery and shenanigans really other than just trying to get our combo off. Drawing cards, and drawing cards. Recurring Insight is really powerful in this deck. I try to get it out as fast as possible. Rebounding it or recasting with Snapcaster is also great. Mystical Tutor and Personal Tutor. I have recently taken the long-term plans out. I had too many tutors, and running into long-term plans meant I was actually having to hold back a tutor typically too often in my hand. But these 2 are great. Instant. This gets me just about anything I need to protect myself. Maybe chaining a tutor into a tutor to get something specific. Same thing. Merchant Scroll may go get one of those so I can continue chaining tutors. Could also get me another card I need to win with. Or an answer, just about anything. This is a tutor for 2. It could get me a Drake. It could give me the Harpy. It could get me just about anything. It could give me a Snapcaster. There's a lot of this deck that has a converted mana cost of 2. That is also a counter spell, but it's in the stack because I typically use it to tutor. Fabricate is here to get me one of 2 very important artifacts. I'll get to that shortly. It is going to be either a Cloudstone Curio or a Caged Sun. Intuition is a difficult tutor to explain. There are 4 ways to play this card. Essentially, the first way, the worst way, is just to tutor for 3 whatever you need. The other way is to tutor for 3 cards that have the same effect. So you're just guaranteeing that you have that one effect. For example, you need a counter spell. Go tutor for 3 counter spells. The better way to do that is if you need one particular card, but there are other ways of, like other synergistic cards that you can get, so you can guarantee it back to your hand. For example, if you need one particular spell, you can get the spell, an Archaeomancer, and something that, like a Snapcaster, so you can flash something back from your graveyard. You're giving yourself a lot of utility and possibly that spell. The best way to play this is to find some way of getting all 3 cards. You see that a lot with like Nykthos Abuse, where you need a specific land. You can get a Crucible Worlds. You're essentially getting all their cards. Reanimation's really good at that with like Phyrexian Reclamation. Going on to more hard tutors, we have the Vampiric and Demonic. And Increasing Ambition, I'm thinking about replacing with the new Origins card. It's also a 5 mana tutor, but it gives me 3 black mana. And this deck rarely needs to be able to flash this back. And that card, potentially, I will have a lot of spells in my graveyard already from early tutorage. It should give me the mana to cast what I tutored for. Yogwin, whatever you want to cast, is late game recursion. The other recursion card I have is Time Spiral, which is often used to help me basically try to gamble and reset, untap some lands and see if I can combo off after dumping my hand, if I can cast it at the same time. 2 other cards for disruption and possible win conditions would be Bribery and Write. Writing a Runescarred Demon is usually a nice win because I'm tutoring for 5 backups, plus I have 6 demons. Bribery can come out really early and just lock down a game. There's also a small control package here, not a lot of counterspells. I probably should include more. This would be a mana drain if I had another. Mind Break Trap is not quite a counterspell, just exile things. Ideally in combo you want free spells, Force of Will, Pact of Negation, things like that should definitely be in here. Cryptic Commands in here, just because I had an extra one, is kind of expensive. Again, combo decks typically want free spells. The deck, again, does not have much early defense other than shenanigans with small creatures. Darkness may be necessary to stop an aggro deck from wrecking me. And we have some removal and Go for the Throat and Dismember. Again, cheap spells. Snuff Out's one of my favorites, but I don't have enough swamps in here to guarantee it would always be free. And we have some removal from Toxic Deluge and Damnation. And a little bit of safety from Cyclonic Rift and Aether Spouts. Aether Spouts may end up going to be an evacuation. I just like this one because it puts them on top of their deck. They would have to redraw them. It destroys tokens. Pretty good card so far. Other than spells, we only have a handful of permanents. Only 3 enchantments. Phyrexian Arena is here for draw. Had just recently taken the Phyrexian Reclamation out. I was not needing to use it enough. Equilibrium is a backup to our Cloudstone Curio. It is not as good as the Curio, but it does work with a couple other effects. I'll explain that again shortly. This one is also worth including because, I'll come back now. This one does also interact with our opponent's creatures. I can use my own creatures to keep their creatures at bay. Really good at a couple different situations. And the last is one of our enablers for another combo is Omniscience. It speaks volumes by itself. Go on to the artifacts. There are not a whole bunch of 1-drop artifacts in here. I think there's only like 3 really. I don't even have the artifact lands for that Trinket Mage package, but there's the top and the map. And the scroll rack is there. This is something I might not need really. I have enough tutors. If I had more shuffle effects, I don't have fetch lands in here. It would make sense. I don't know. It's working out right now. This usually gets me 1 tech land. I'll explain the lands coming up because some are very important. It's not going to be which obvious ones you think. But then we have a nice fake Mana Crypt because I can't afford any more ones. And a Soul Ring. So I think that's only really 4 targets for the Trinket Mage. It's actually honestly more than enough because I usually use it to get Soul Ring or Mana Crypt, and if they're already in play, then it's just extra value. We have a little few extra ramps and Coalition Relic, Gilded Lotus, and a Caged Sun is a very important artifact. There are some combos that rely on lands that tap for more than 1 mana, and that's actually very important. The last combo on artifact required in this deck, not required, but for some situations, is Cloudstone Curio. Again, I will explain this shortly. Finally, we are on to the lands. Lands, I think there are 37 or 38. One of the most important lands for this type of deck is Riptide Lab. It saves our general, a lot of the combo essential creatures, some of the other techie ones. We can reuse Snapcaster, we can reset a Glendalandra, we can save a Teferi. The other land I really wanted to get in here, I don't have any extras, was a Cavern of Souls. There's enough wizards in the deck that makes it very, very good. Reliquary Tower, I do plan on drawing a lot of cards, hopefully. Merry Landscape is decent in a 2 or 1 color deck. And Urborg and Cabal Coffers, we're getting to the lands that may potentially tap for more than 1 mana. Coral Atoll, again, these are the ones that I don't normally like running, but in this specific deck, it has combos that require or work better with lands that tap for more than 1 mana, so I'm actually taking the chance of running them. This one requires me to bounce, this one requires me to sacrifice. This one just may tap for 2. This one ideally taps for more than 2, especially if I have some high devotion out there. This one is another bounce. And we're on to just the colorful lands now. Before I go too far, this is actually the land I will typically get with my expedition map. It doesn't look threatening, and in a multiplayer table, which this deck is typically played at, I can just coax the opponents by stating things like I'm mana screwed or something and I need to reset a land. And that usually is enough to kind of let them not want to destroy these. The Nykthos is ideally the better one, but it depends on the play group you are playing against. Something like a Temple of the False God is even less threatening than that. But it is kind of dependent on the play group and your own charisma when it comes to kind of political plays. But let's go on to the colorful lands. We've got the Command Tower, Watery Grave, the Creature Land, Ruins, the Temple, the Little Buddy Land, the Pain Land, then all our basic lands. These are the nice shiny ones I took out of my Vela deck. They're all the fancy shard foils. The Vela deck I have now put my Arena promo lands in. So let's go on through some of the combos. Again, the combos work by finding some chain, some loop of infinitely casting a creature. Not just me casting a creature and exiling one thing, but finding a way of getting that creature back to my hand so I can then continue on casting and triggering him. He only works by casting. This is much harder to combo with than Vela the Night-Clad. She works just by something leaving play. You can Deadeye Flicker some mana untapped dude and just win with Vela. He is much harder to work with, much harder to combo with. He requires typically more parts. That is ideally not good if you are trying to do competitive build, but for flavor, I wanted to see how good we can make him, and that's where we're at. So let's start with the easy combo. The easiest combo that works with him is Palinchron plus a Phantasmal Image. It's just pretty much easy. These two together are very commonly known. They generate infinite mana. If I resolve a Palinchron, I will untap 7 lands. He only costs 2 to cast, so from those 7 lands, I'm down to 5 by casting. I can clone him, tap the other 5 just to float it, and I'll have 5 floating. I'll untap 7 again, but I have the 4 required just from the 5 floating to bounce him. So I can keep bouncing, and I will be casting a blue spell infinitely, how many times I need to exile the opponent's decks. That's the easy one. That gives me extra mana too, so if he's not even in play, I can then cast him. This is not actually requiring only the Phantasmal Image. Assuming I have like a land that taps for 2 mana, and Circu is already in play, then any clone will do it. Any 4 mana casting clone actually continues this loop. Again, this is where it's important to have some kind of land that taps for more than 1 mana. With just 1 land that taps for 2, this cycle can continue with a typical 4 mana costing clone. It does not have to be the Phantasmal Image. Let's continue on to some other ideas. The other really obvious cheesy one is this plus just any creature that enters the battlefield and bounces something. Like Omniscience and my general in play, I can then cast a Venser. Venser wants to enter the battlefield and bounce something like Venser, and then I can cast Venser again, and I can continue to cast a blue spell. That's why there's that package of creatures that bounce spells. This can get a bit more distorted. Cloudstone Curio is a really good example. For example, if I have any kind of creature that untaps lands when it enters the battlefield, and I have a clone. So Cloudstone Curio's out, I'll cast this, I'll untap 5 lands, I can then cast a clone, copying this, I can then untap 5 lands, use this to bounce this, and I can then just keep on going. This is also a duplicate, not quite a duplicate, of Equilibrium. Equilibrium does the same thing, almost. The problem with Equilibrium is not only does it target, this thing targets, this one does not. I cannot use Phantasmal Image with this. But this one also works when I cast. This works when something enters. So I have to have a 3rd creature to use Equilibrium. But that's just the same thing. I can use the mana untap guy and a clone, and some 3rd creature. This does need mana to activate the Equilibrium. So once again, we're looking at lands that might tap for more than 1 mana. Those are the main combos. There's lots of subtle interactions. Lots and lots of ways of making that work. Like, it's just, if you've ever dealt with a Palinchron combo, or just about any kind of mana combo that works with that, then you have an idea of how easy it is to make that busted. but there are so many enablers that can generate so much mana. Just like Cage Sun and Palinchron right there is more than enough to continually bounce Palinchron himself. There's so many ways of interacting with this combo, or creating that combo. It's a puzzle to make him work. It's not a very efficient puzzle. It's much harder to go with that. And there's a lot of other things this deck is capable of doing. I have a Deadeye Navigator in there, and I have all these guys that produce mana when they tap, so I can go infinite mana, and then I can just go ahead and go grab like my Spectre, and I can hard cast it, not even needing any other enabler. But with infinite mana, I can do so much more as well. Ideally, in a less restricted deck, something maybe not running Circu, like a Vela deck, you would have other things to do with infinite mana combos, because she also works great with infinite mana combos. So you would see things like the Staff of Domination and things like that. This is just a deck list, an ideal deck list for what I currently have. There are way better ways of optimizing this. It is personal preference when it comes to your combo, typically also heavily reliant on what your meta is capable of. This is just an example deck list. Again, I'm going to link a link to an old primer I had started on about a year ago, year and a half or two. It needs updating. It has not been worked on for a while. It's an entry-level guide to constructing a combo deck, explaining things like what your general's trying to do, what your deck's trying to do, how to get to that point, how to control that, how to develop your board state, how to play it, how to understand it, how to improve it. It's kind of like a newbie level, entry level guide, but I'm going to try to put as much information in there to help everyone that can. So any feedback, I'm always welcome. Again, I've run Circu on and off quite a bit. He has been inactive in my meta for about a year or two, because I had relied on Vela for a while. If you've seen my old Vela video, I'm also going to be uploading a new version of that. I had greatly reduced and lowered the power level of that deck when I had last recorded a video, because I was playing with it against some different people. But I've put it back into a combo deck again, and I'll show that as a comparison video, so you can kind of see they both try to do the same thing. One deck has an easier time than the other. But yeah, I hope you enjoy. This is a pretty standard idea of a combo deck. It's pretty unique because people don't expect this out of him. That's the kind of only good reasoning about running Circu. People don't expect to see a combo deck with this until they start seeing some of your other tech. It can come out very fast, it can come out very slow. It depends on your draws and what you put in the deck. That's where fine-tuning and customization come into play. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Any ideas, always welcome.